Good morning, everyone, and welcome. This is Joe Scarice, your co-founder and co-host of the Creative Birth Strategy Podcast, live on Clubhouse as well as live on our podcast every Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, providing education, networking, and strategy. So we're going to take a quick minute, invite a ton of people in here, and get started here in just a few minutes. Very busy week in the market, very busy week at events and coordinating and meeting and greeting people. So we'll get a catch up on everything in just a few minutes. I just gotta put some invites out to a bunch of people, and hopefully we'll get everybody in here in just a couple. I want to thank everybody for coming in this morning. We're hitting our 96th episode, but we have about 100 episodes of a podcast before it was the podcast. So we're going to hopefully be able to send that out to our social media group to clip and get that information out. We did a bunch of podcasts during COVID that we just uncovered and discussed. So we're going to clip and cut and put all that information out here in over the next couple of weeks, and we'll get started. And our discussion this morning is, what is your real estate brand? And I think that's a different type of discussion. We did put a poll out as well as a article for you to read on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I think they're Blue Sky and Alignable. And I'd love to have you give your insight and thoughts to that. And there's a poll out there with questions. So if you can answer that for me, that'd be fantastic. So we'll dive first into mortgage news, which is typically, everybody's where's the rate? Where's the rate? Everybody wants to know what the rate is. What do you think the rate's going to be? Well, the rates dropped about a half a point this past week. Well, first, let's take a step back. I want to thank our sponsors. First, I want to thank Mr. Yardell Perkins of Perkatech. I want to thank Mr. MB Capital Solutions, Mr. Eric Moss, where I'm a referral partner providing unsecured business lines of credit throughout the country. I'd like to thank Elite Dealmakers, where we just got back from Richmond, Virginia for a 3-day event. Great. I really look forward to representing them here up in the New Jersey and Pennsylvania market. I'd like to thank Realty 411, Ms. Linda Pelagas, providing national events and a national publication for real estate professionals throughout the country. And I'd like to thank Lendmark, where I'm a senior loan analyst, providing nationwide asset-based lending throughout the country for real estate investors and professionals in buying and acquiring and refinancing investment properties throughout the country. So let's get diving into the market today. Bonds really were rallying with the higher inflation concerns. I obviously have some recessionary concerns as well. But I think what the government's doing currently to offset this is trying to create a balanced landing to the resetting of our housing stock and inventory, and then a balancing act to cost of living and cost of goods. Obviously, we're seeing some of that impact, but I think until we hit $1 trillion off the government debt, I think we're going to still be riding a bumpy road. But rates came into the sixes. I'm looking at rates right now, probably somewhere between 6.375 and 6.875 for purchase and refinance. So things are staying really good as long as credit's there and the deal works itself. Construction money kind of stayed the same at around 9.75, but definitely in the DSCR space, rates came down a full half a point. So you're seeing a drastic difference in the market. And for brokers and correspondents, obviously, that gives you a little more margin to sell your services through direct private lenders such as myself. And, I had a lot of discussions this past week with white label marketing. We had another great course yesterday at my office with about 8 real estate agents that are considering white labeling their product and putting lending out as part of their repertoire, as home ownership is flatlining right now. The investment space is kind of steady, but consumer confidence and home buying right now is not a forefront for a lot of people in buying the American dream. So it seems like because of the inflation fears, consumer sentiment worsens a little bit, and then you have all this crazy media kind of interjecting their personal reflection on where they think the market's going. You need to follow as much real information as you can and try to differentiate and just stay focused on whatever you're doing. Okay, that's what you're supposed to do, and stay committed to that. see if there's any other interesting articles that catch my eye before we get into this discussion today. And then we'll talk. Well, first we'll talk about some items of events that we just this past week. Email a article I just read, and I'm going to put out as well. Economic fear surges, Americans brace for an uncertainty. Yeah, I think there's definitely a concern. I think there's concern of a market crash or a real estate crash or somewhere in between. I'm more concerned about office retail, and I have been for quite a while. I'm not as concerned about the residential investment space, 1 through 4 or 5 through 15. I think that's a safer market to be in. I do think there's some concerns in the multifamily or new construction space. U.S. homeowners are still using pandemic savings for down payments. So, the people still have some reserves left, and there's a lot of, interesting programs out there to get into a deal. But if you lose 10% value on the property the first year you buy it, I would be a little. That's why I think you're seeing a lot of less people jumping into the market and buying their home. The more people are renting and buying investment properties, I'm seeing as we see. Um, Owning a home consuming a larger share of wages, so it's costing more to maintain the home than ever before, between taxes and insurance and then the principal interest of the property and then the maintenance. You're putting over half of your money back into the house. So just be concerned at what you're looking at, and your barrier of entry. So some interesting articles, which I'll post some of these this week as well. You're definitely seeing an intensified marketing campaign by my social media team, Yardell Perkins and his group that is putting together our website on the podcast, as well as my personal website, which is Joseph V. Scarice. And then also all the marketing that's going on behalf of events that we're involved with. We're going through a major revision, which will be good for just about everybody that's going to be involved, because of the amount of events that we're involved with in providing education and giving back. And then also I'm supporting a team now at Lenmark where we're handling broker and correspondent business. So if you want us to start brokering money with us and being a direct broker to a direct lender, that's something that we're ramping up very heavily and very quickly. So you're starting to see a lot more social media out there, and we're probably going to have a social media class workshop either in Philadelphia or New York coming up in probably by the fall to kind of discuss what we've done and how it's impacting us and how it can hopefully assist you in your growth in your real estate endeavors. So this past week I was in Virginia at the Elite Dealmakers event, 3 days of meeting real estate professionals tied in with the group that I'm supporting. A lot of high energy, good energy. Walked away with a lot of great relationships. And I could say that I think Elite Dealmakers is on this way to go more national. It's definitely spreading out. We'll probably see about 25 groups total in the next several months. I'm really excited to see that and seeing that everybody's so excited about being together and hugs and follow-ups. It's going to be really interesting to see how that all plays out. I am speaking at the Richmond, Virginia Elite Dealmakers this Thursday. I'm also in Clifton, New Jersey. I'm in Bergen County, New Jersey. I'm also speaking Deal or No Deal at Jumpstart Germantown on Wednesday in Philadelphia. And then we're ending off the week in North Jersey with the Sub-2 community up in Union, New Jersey. So if anybody's up in that northern New Jersey area, I'd love to see you. I'll be there Friday and Saturday. And I'm going to a woman-run contractor tour on Saturday afternoon. So if you're in the Newark area, Union area, I'd love to meet you for a cup of coffee and obviously network and mastermind. So tying back into our discussion here is, what is your real estate brand? And when guiding a real estate brand strategy, the key goals are essential to ensure brand success in a competitive market. And there's definitely some crucial objectives that you need to keep in mind. Establishing a clear brand identity. What is your goal? Is it unique? Is it memorable? Does it resonate with what you're trying to accomplish? Hold on one second. Somebody's trying to come in here, and I don't know where that is. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. And then building trust and credibility. Establishing trust with clients to make the brand go-to for real estate needs. And then obviously share client testimonials as well. I think that's something that would be of importance. Leveraging digital marketing, increasing your online presence, reaching a wider audience. You got to go wide and deep. And strategy investing into well-optimized websites or social media practices, social media marketing, and even paid ads. We're doing a little of all that right now, tying in, but we're not paying as much on the ads. We're trying to make sure our platform is strong, and then we're going to see where we can obviously progress there. Providing outstanding customer service. It's all in the follow up and the follow through, creating a good reputation of being available. Having good communication, giving the news one way or another, and expanding your network and partnerships. Like I traveled down to Richmond to kind of meet new people with the Elite Dealmakers Group. I hope they made a difference, and I hope I created relationships there that are lasting. Okay, and staying ahead of the market trends. Positioning yourself as an expert with real estate trends and market knowledge. Being on a podcast. I extended every single person in that Elite Dealmakers to hold themselves accountable, and let's do a one-on-one podcast and get you out there and get you in front of people and market yourself, and updating your team and your clients on market conditions and investment opportunities and local or regional real estate news, creating consistent brand awareness, keeping the brand top of the mind of potential clients, and your strategy maintaining consistent market campaigns across various platforms, social media, email, newsletters, both paid or organic strategies. One second here. We've got a couple. Let's see here. Block that. Somebody was just doing a little some spamming. Using data to drive decisions. So like we are very focused on our CRM and data mining, texting, emailing with update events or ideas and strategies, and adapting and innovating, keeping the brand flexible and adaptable to changes in the industry, and staying open to new technologies like AI, blockchain, virtual reality for property tours if you're a real estate agent, or even an investor trying to flip properties or rent them properties. Continuously updating the model to match evolving consumer needs. So we'll go with ladies first, the rose amongst the thorns. Good morning, Amy. Brief overview who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning. What is your real estate brand?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am Amy Palvido. I am a longtime real estate investor, and also I currently am the chair of the U.S. PropTech Council, which is all facets of real estate technology. And I am a real estate technology founder. So I've shifted over from, I will always be a real estate investor, but my main focus right now is real estate technology. And we build 3D models, real-time living 3D models of properties for the data center industry. So that's kind of what we do. And let's see, building your brand. So obviously, if you're a realtor or a real estate firm owner, marketing is one of your key things, and you have to be good about it. So if I were to give some thoughts there, it would be build a system, understanding that your website is not going to draw probably, if you look at the advent of AI and what ChatGPT and all the other LLMs are doing, people aren't going to be using Google to search anymore. So you're going to need to make sure that your social media strategy is spot on. That's where everybody's kind of drifting to is social media. And you need to be really active there and use social media to draw attention to your website via than regular Google ads, because most people are now using more ChatGPT to search than they are doing Google searches, or they're getting the ChatGPT extension in the Google. So it's really driven by chat or the other LLM. So it's interesting how it's changing. So it's not the same anymore. So when you're out there building a brand, you need to make sure that your social media presence is spot on. And if you want some other insights, I'm glad I popped in the room today, Joe, because we had an event. The PropTech Council had an event at South by Southwest. And one of the people we had was on this very topic, And he was a realtor out of Houston, and he built a huge social media following. He has like 250,000 followers on Instagram and Twitter, and he has some on LinkedIn. But he built that up as a realtor. And we have it on our YouTube channel. It's free for anybody. If you want to go to the U.S. PropTech Council, it's U.S. PropTech YouTube, and it's there. It's our South by Southwest, and that session where we recorded, where he's talking about what he did and how he built his following and all that other stuff. So that's out there for y'all if you want to check it out. But I think the biggest thing is to be consistent, like you said, but understand that it's shifting. So when you're building your brand right now, think more social media, think less Google Ads. Understand what it's going to take for you to, if somebody is doing a chat GPT search, what it's going to take for your name to pop up. It's a different strategy now. So that would be, there's half a nickel.
Half a nickel, half a nickel. So, I've been really studying Google Words, not Google Ads and plugins. And I'm finding that is the play right now in getting analytics back. My Google business profile, tying it into the LinkedIn, tying into Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Then we hired a group out of the Philippines through Yardell, and we're clipping a ton of content. All the blogs, all the articles are being clipped up. And then we uncovered another 100 videos that we really didn't have a podcast yet. We were just doing stuff over during COVID, and we're going to take all those clips and dump those out just to get them out there, just to get content and more gravity inward. But we're spending money. I think we finally found where we are. So a lot of people, they create all this social media and they forget about what their brand is, and then they change companies and they change this, and then if you do a Google search, they were a juggler, a firewalker, and then a realtor. You know what I mean? So
it is about being consistent. I mean, that will, because you'll shoot yourself in the foot, because it takes 3 to 6 months for your brand to start getting traction.
Yeah.
And change up the messaging. All of that effort to get where you were to that point, that doesn't work anymore. Right. And so it's very, when marketers, like for the company, like huge companies, do a refresh of the brand, they don't completely change the messaging. They just might go at it from a different angle, because they understand that when you can change your messaging completely, it takes a hot second for you to kind of get there. But it's also, it's good business, right? You need to focus. And if you're not focused, if you're all out there everywhere doing everything, nobody knows what you do, right?
Yeah.
So
you got to be consistent with who you are and what you do. Your 30-second elevator pitch still, no matter how much ChatGPT comes together, how much AI comes together, you still have to do a 30-second elevator pitch in front of somebody, who you are, what you do, and what's your why. And you got to get it done to the point, clear and concise. I mean, and that's how your presence should be from a branding versus marketing perspective, right? So I appreciate that, Amy, and we'll come back real quick. I saw you doing something with PropTech. Is there a merger or an alliance that you created just recently that I noticed?
The data center industry. So we built 3D models, living 3D models, and the data center operators use that from how do they optimize their operations to how can they use less energy, how can they do incident response. There's a lot of different reasons to have a digital twin, and that's because that's what we build. And so we have an alliance with Vertiv. They're a Fortune 500, actually probably Fortune 100 company, and they are a supplier to the data center industry, and they supply equipment. And so because one of the things we monitor is equipment, and so yes, we became a Vertiv partner, and it's really exciting for us, and it's a really good step forward. So yeah, I'm really excited. It was exciting when you're a startup. I mean, we're also an NVIDIA startup too. We got accepted to NVIDIA late last year, and we're an NVIDIA startup. So when you get NVIDIA, a company like NVIDIA behind you, and a company like Vertiv behind you, it just sends really good signals out to the market that we're kind of real, which is awesome.
Great stuff. And I appreciate that, because I did notice something, and I Just wanted to recognize that on the podcast this morning.
Yeah.
No problem. So branding versus marketing, what is this ultimate difference in real estate investing? Real estate investing distinguishing between branding and marketing is crucial for establishing a robust business and drawing in potential clients. It's the inbound, not the outbound, that is so important in your marketing and your branding. Also, closely linking these concepts are fulfilling unique roles and implementing thorough separate strategies. In the world of real estate investing, understanding the difference between these both is this, you have to understand the strength of this and what type of client do you want to attract. Okay. So branding is about defining and shaping your identity of your real estate investing business. It's the essence of who you are, what you stand for, and how you want to be perceived in the marketplace. Branding is a long-term strategy, like Amy was saying, and focusing on creating trust, recognition, and loyalty with your audience. Like the campaign that we're putting together from a social media strategy for the websites and for the Google words and the analytics is a 6-month project just to see the starting result, not the end result. Right? We need to figure out our identity and our values, the consistency of it, the emotional connection, right? And the visual identity. I'll give you a quick example in real estate. A well-branded investor might be known for offering a hassle-free, fast seal for homeowners in distress. They might focus on branding efforts on being reliable, empathetic, and offering quick solutions. So marketing real quick, and then we'll get to our moderators. Marketing, on the other hand, is the action you take to promote your real estate investing business or your service and attracting clients and inquiry. It's a tactical execution of strategies to reach potential buyers, sellers, or partners. While branding focuses on the perception and identity of the business, marketing is about driving attention and generating leads. Key elements of marketing is advertising. Marketing involves strategies like online ads, Google, Facebook, direct mail, email campaigns, even traditional methods like billboards or print advertisements. Lead gen is more marketing aspects, focusing on finding and nurturing leads. And what's your sales funnel? Marketing efforts lead potential clients through a journey from awareness to conversion, like a closing or a deal or signing a contract. It's all about getting your prospects to take action. And then there's analytics and testing. Marketing is often data-driven, where you test different campaigns, track conversion rates, and optimize strategies to get better results. I'll give you a prime example. Yardell and I, we talk almost twice or 3 times a week looking at our open rate in our email database mining. So we want to stay above the national average. We're averaging right now at 40 to 42% on open rate. So we're very focused on that, and we're clipping the fat out of the CRM to make sure the open rate stays extremely strong. A real estate investor or agent who markets their business might run, certain ads on Facebook targeting homeowners and foreclosures, but it's a much bigger picture. The goal of just campaigning to get leads is a broader approach. You have to look at the bigger picture. You got to accept LinkedIn. You got to accept Facebook. You got to accept Instagram. A lot of people are just Instagram people. A lot of people just have Instagram accounts, right? Or Twitter. There's people that just live off of Twitter, or X, as you call it. So you got to really focus in a broader landscape and broadening your steering wheel. You don't want to go driving 90 miles an hour down a road without a steering wheel. And it all starts with Google Business Profile, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest. I keep popping to the right and left. You got to keep this all in consideration. Good morning, Bob, and welcome. Brief overview who you are, what you do, and what is your thoughts on what is your real estate brand?
Hey, good morning, Joe. So my name is Bob Chesek, president of Chesapeake Corporation, helping people set up LLCs. I'm not here to give legal advice. I also host Business of Real Estate here at Creative Burr, and we'll be starting a room immediately following this room at about 10 o'clock, New York City time. So personal versus business branding. This is a topic I've presented on to various groups over the past decade and a half. And it's a topic that I've had to evolve on because when I started teaching this topic, the thing I always was very, very adamant about was make sure you treat your personal and business brands totally separate from each other. And I remember I had the presentation ready to go. And the night before I was presenting, I was talking to one of my clients who explained to me that they closed a major deal by taking their client out to a nightclub in New York City, which back when I started teaching this, that was like totally taboo. You don't cross lines like that. You try to keep everything separate. But this is what I will say. Your personal brand, and if you have an LLC or work for a company, your business brand, despite everything, they are two very distinct things, both legally and professionally. Now, I've seen and I've personally experienced when I had a part-time job once working for a company that did outside sales, and I was told I had to meet with one of their, this is a virtual company. I said, well, I need your LinkedIn password. I said, why? He goes, because I'm changing your LinkedIn branding to match our company's branding. I said, so you're going to rewrite my whole LinkedIn profile? Yes, to suit our company's needs. I said, well, I'm not giving you permission to do that. Guess what the next phone call was? You're fired. So basically, I see a lot of large companies or even companies in general, that basically try to hijack your personal brand and essentially make you a drone of their company. When you own the business, the separation is a little bit harder to find. When you work for a company, it is absolutely critical that you maintain your personal brand, because you can wind up working for different companies. What if the company you're at decides suddenly to throw you out on your butt? Now you got to go find another company. But if they went ahead and basically turned you into someone that can only be associated with them, you're going to have a very difficult time resetting that brand. So your personal brand is what identifies you as being the best person in your field, and also your areas of expertise and interest surrounding that. Your business brand or company brand is the mission of the company itself, whether you own it yourself or work for someone else. The key that I always tell people is be careful. And despite the fact that the walls between personal and business have been coming down, especially in the era of social media, and God help us, the era of AI now, the important thing I would like to say to remember is you have to protect your personal brand from the interests of your business brand. Now, if you're on LinkedIn and you have a company that's trying to take over your profile, if you decide you're going to allow them to do that, download a copy of your data. You can do that on LinkedIn and Facebook and all the other things. You can have backup copies stored on your hard drive in case you suddenly find yourself having to reset everything back to the way it was. But generally speaking, just remember that you don't want to become the mouthpiece for someone else if your entire career is dependent on you presenting your own message. With that, Joe, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Thank you, Bob. Your real estate brand is incredibly important because it's directly impacting how clients perceive you and your services. A strong brand can differentiate you in a competitive market and build trust with clients and attract more business. But you don't want to, I think the art of not looking too busy to look accessible to your clients is important too. If they always see you're somewhere out and about, do you have time to take a phone call? Do you look too busy to answer their questions? Are you responding to their inquiries on your posts of education or motivation or strategy or listings? Are you being responsive? You need to differentiate yourself. I think more people than ever, when they call to make an inquiry, they're like, oh, wow, you picked up on the first ring. I'm like, hey, do you want me to hang up and call me back? I think people are surprised about quick response. And I think that separates a lot of people. You know, when your voicemail is all full and you're promoting that you're easy to be accessible, that's quite ironic. Okay. If you're a text queen or king and can't talk to somebody for a couple minutes on the phone, are you really going to trust them to get them to the finish line in a transaction? Right. I don't understand how they think that way, but they do think that way sometimes. And I think it's very important to have that trust and credibility in attracting new clients and keeping your old ones around. I ran into some great old clients that I had deal makers. I ran into somebody that I closed a bunch of loans with last year, and now we're talking about him being a representative for Lenmark in a brokering relationship on a white label. I mean, that's a full 360, from like, hey, we haven't talked in a while, to, hey, I want to start moving your loans around where I am here in Florida. So the emotional connection is as well, and creating long-term successes and identifying those milestones and highlighting those people that you enjoyed the benefits of a completion on a project or a closing with is important. Okay. Very, very important, these items. And in short, your real estate brand can influence how successful your business is by attracting clients and creating long-term relationships. It's not just the logo or the tagline, it's the reputation and experience you offer. Dave, good morning and welcome. Brief overview who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning. What is your real estate brand?
Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Dave Injami, for those of you that haven't heard me speak before. What I do is a few different things in real estate. I have title insurance license. I can handle title closings in any state. Same thing with property insurance and homeowners. And then finally, I have recently joined Joe's team at Lenmark with helping people to get funding for their investment properties. So in a nutshell, I like to say I spend my day just helping people get deals done in a variety of ways. I don't think anybody on this call knows this, including Joe, but I started out my career out of college in advertising. I worked for a full-service ad agency that did regular ads on TV, all the way over to public relations. And everything that everybody has said so far on this call is spot on. I totally agree. I think the one thing that I can lend as extra advice is to really echo what Bob was saying in brand yourself, not the company. In this industry, I've known many professionals that work in both the lending and the title space, and there's been times of chaos in the industry, whether it's the 2008 market crash or rates shooting up in the last couple of years, and there's been a lot of movement in the industry. People going from company to company, especially loan officers I've seen. And when you brand yourself as your company or under your company, which companies want to do, right? That's what they push you to do. But what happens is, like Bob explained, that is hard to carry over. And then you have to start over again and again. And this happened to me. You have to rebuild yourself. And that's why it's really important to brand yourself and make yourself the brand. And Joe has been doing a really good job of this over the last at least year or a couple of years. So that would be my advice. And if you take anything away from what I say on this call, it's that. If you're not branding yourself as the brand, start doing that today. And I'll just kind of leave it at that and throw it back over to Joe.
It's funny you brought that up, and it's making me think about, when we first started off this podcast, Yardell and I were just coming up with a bunch of different names, a bunch of different thoughts. And we then decided, listen, we got to embrace what the basis is of asset-based lending as a strategy. And that's how we came up with the Creative Birth Strategies, name, and then kind of focused on that. And then we also didn't want to blend the podcast with what we did with events. So we went out and identified a group to obviously align with, and we wanted a separate name because, again, it's not about us. It's not about the podcast. It's about the group and the integrity behind it. And I think that was important for us as well. And we aligned with Elite Deal Makers, and I'm really happy about that alignment. I mean, I really see the great energy that they have in what they're giving back to their following. And it's a separate box to us. So, we have Joseph E. Scarice, CE instructor, connector, nationwide asset-based lender. Yes, I work for Lenmark, but I'm all that. I'm a podcaster. I'm an investor. And then I have the podcast, Creative Birth Strategies podcast. And then I have Elite Deal Makers, which is the group itself. So, and then, I'm able to help and facilitate gentlemen like yourself, Dave, like you come from a title background, insurance background. It only made sense for you to kind of come into the forefront to this and get into ops and offering channels. And you're coming up with marketing ideas. And, what's your thoughts on, you've been in the business a long time and you've been in the South Jersey area a long time. what am I, hopefully, are you looking at a more regional way of looking at identifying new client base? Because obviously, we talk about this, everybody in South Jersey, they're either going to work with you or they're not. So obviously you got to go find and build a whole new energy somewhere. What have you found by going into areas or places or going into events new, not knowing anybody in the room? What do you feel like, what's been the biggest return in the last 60 days in doing this? And from your social media and your branded perspective, when you're going out in front of it, where's your confidence with this? And what's the vibe that you're getting from a lot of people?
Yeah, I mean, it's just been really refreshing meeting new people. When you're, I guess to Joe's point, when you're in a market for a while, it's a great point that Joe made. People are either going to work with you or they're not. And there was a time where I was a lender. Okay, I was what they call the wholesale lender up until the crash of 2008. And my clients directly were loan officers. And I can say at one point in time, I had almost every loan officer in a 50-mile radius working with me. To some degree, I was in the rotation, or they knew me, and at some point they were going to be sending me a file. Okay, over the years, I had to evolve and do different things and add more to my repertoire. And some of those people went away. They got to other industries, or they retired, or whatever. And the people that remained that I started to rely on were real estate agents, right? And then the real estate agents really always come up with a reason to stray. Whatever the reason is. Somebody's buying them Phillies tickets, somebody's, paying for space in their office, whatever it is. So meeting these new people in these, other towns and other areas is very refreshing because they're coming with an open mind. They just want, I'm back to talking with people that just want somebody to help them get the deal done. And, it makes me happy, excited, and it's very refreshing to talk to somebody that doesn't want anything from you except to get the deal done. And Joe, hopefully that answers your question.
I appreciate that. And how does your brand separate you from your competition is the question that I'm thinking. And thank you, Dave. Your brand separates you from the competition by showcasing what you are unique, and both in terms of your services and how you connect with your clients. What I have found, and in most of my experiences going to events that I've not been to before, is I'm probably one of the only service providers at the event. That's kind of funny, but that I go to a real estate investor event. I'm the only actual lender at the event, and for Dave, he's probably been the only title agent at a lot of these events. So he's competing with himself. You have to provide that unique value proposition, that personalized client experience and the professionalism and expertise, and being very distinctive in visual identity, right? You got to be consistent with your messaging as well. Felix, good morning and welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning. What is your real estate brand?
Grand Rising, Joe. Grand Rising, everybody. Thank you for having me as always. Buchanan Biz Enterprises, the JLix Group, and I am a team leader of Exit Perspective Realty in Baltimore. I do credit repair, business funding, wholesaling, rehabbing of properties, helping investors rehab their properties. Branding, pretty much like everyone said, everything that you can pretty much harp on or speak on in terms of branding. Consistency is everything. All across every social media board, any type of, if you're doing print posting, everything that's associated with you needs to be the same. I think Amy said earlier, as far as even if you change your logo or you change different things about your business, your message should always be clear cut and be the same message as you move along throughout the years of you doing business. You definitely want to keep your personal branding separate from your business branding, but you also got to be careful what you do on a personal level, because there are things that you can do on the personal side that can affect your branding on your business side as well. And realistically, that's really it. Like I said, everybody pretty much, drove in on as a whole, what branding is. It really doesn't have too many different aspects to it other than, these core things that you just have to make sure that are properly positioned, sends the proper message, because this is what the consumer is going to hold you by. This is what they seen, and this is what they'll hold you by unless you somehow or another are able to change their minds through the course of some other level of marketing. And that's it.
There you go. I appreciate that, Felix. As always, got anything coming up in Baltimore going on? I know there's a Baltimore re-event on Tuesday.
Been looking to get this office turned around for that broker, because as of right now, they are donuts. No agent has closed the deal yet other than the broker.
Wow.
So that's a no-go. So realistically, just looking to get these agents more consistent and set up to make some money so that they can not only help themselves, help their families, and help the brokerage.
What do you think what's missing in the room? I mean, you got a bunch of real estate agents. Why are they not closing? Like Baltimore's a lower barrier of entry from an investment perspective. Are they focusing with investors? Are they focusing with home buyers? What are they looking at the job reports and where the jobs are landing in the Baltimore surrounding area?
To be honest with you, it's consistency. So to give you a great example, yesterday we had a team meeting from 1 to 3. He had 7 agents, and we just hired another agent maybe 2 weeks ago, which I happen to know because I do commercial lending with the Tribe Group as well. So 2 people showed up. One of them got there at 1:05, and one of them got there right before 1:15. So the message that I sent via text to the group at 1:05 was, oh, no, I'll back up. So probably 20 minutes before the meeting, a person canceled because she said that she had a 50th birthday party that she had to go to. And in my mind, I was like, the message from the broker that this meeting was happening was sent a month ago. So you're telling me 20 minutes before the meeting, you just figured out and understood that you had this birthday party to go to. So you didn't think, hey, well, at least let me come to the meeting for an hour and then I can go to the party. So that was 1. This is 20 minutes before 1, so 12:40. 10 minutes before the meeting, 2 more people texted and said that they weren't going to be able to make it. So I sent the text out letting everybody know that the meeting was at this time and it was unacceptable that you guys waited until the last minute to let everyone know that you weren't going to be here. There was a space paid for, there was food purchased, and now it's less people. So now my broker partner, he's pissed. So it's 1:05 and nobody's there yet still. At 1:05, right when I sent the text like, hey, it's 1:05, nobody sent a message saying that they were going to be running late, that they weren't going to be on time. This is also unacceptable. And I was like, if nobody's here by 1:15, we're leaving. So if you're on your way, you're not going to make it by 1:15, don't come, because I won't be here. And I know he won't.
Yeah, I think there's definitely commitment issues out there.
Yes. So it's that's why I said the example is right there where the agents aren't taking the proper level of accountability for themselves. And that word accountability is huge for me. So it'll be a shakeup already starting as of Monday because people didn't show up.
Yeah, you have to, when you're branding a company, you got to be a spear, like a point of a spear. And everybody's got to identify under that spear and drive forward. And if you don't feel that vibe, you could, hey, listen, man, we're going to just return your license, and it's just not working out. In the sales environment and service environment, you could fire anybody. You could fire yourself for your care. I had a call this week that somebody inquired through Bigger Pockets. When I think, Bigger Pockets, there's good, bad, and not so good at all. Okay. And the inquiry was, hey, I want to white label your product. I'd like to be able to broker with you. I like what you put out there in events and education and insights on here. And he reaches out to me from some like really like weird number or whatever. And I'm like, okay, so what market are you in? Well, I'd rather not disclose. And I'm like, oh, well, then I'd rather not work with you. He's like, really? I'm like, absolutely. If I don't even know where you are and you're not willing to tell me, why would I want to work with you? He's like, okay, bye. It's okay. You don't have to, if you don't feel comfortable with somebody or somebody's making you uncomfortable to make an effort on their behalf, like when you have to like walk painfully across a floor barefoot with on broken glass, that's not a business relationship. That's an uncomfortable environment, and probably will be toxic for the most part. So branding yourself to attract the right people and limit the drama to life in whole, I think is so important. I think what you project on your social media will project what comes back to you in inquiry and discussions and strategy. Yesterday, we had, 9 or 10 people coming to the class. It was a free class, so I didn't expect a high count of people. It was at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday, but 9 people came, and we were engaged for 2 hours. Actually, we stayed later than that because people walked away with value. They walked away with follow up and follow through, and breakthroughs happened. People saw what was the industry about in lending and understanding a non-QM lending versus regulated lending and versus hard money. And I enjoy talking about it because I'm passionate about it. Plus, I'm published. I wrote this module, so I take it very seriously. I want people to walk away with value. I don't want them to walk away, hey, I didn't get anything out of this guy. He was just talking gibberish. You ever go to an event and you're like, why did I come here? When I walk away, you don't want to have that feeling when you go to an event. You want to feel like you walked away with a light bulb on the top of your head. Hey, what's going on? What's the big deal here? When I go to a networking event, my focus is being there 15 to 20 minutes early. As people are coming in, I'm introducing myself, getting to introduce people that I initially am meeting to others that are coming in, and almost being like the host or hostess. That's a brand I like to be. I like to have. I want to be the connector. I want to be the individual that can provide service and follow up and communication. Hey, text me your name and email. Let me send you a connection to our podcast on Clubhouse. I invite everybody. Everybody I meet that sends me their name and email, I invite them to come on here. Why not? What's the worst thing that can happen? You come on, you learn something, you connect with somebody. That's branding. That's marketing. That's being part of somebody's community, including your community with theirs. The brand message and the voice and what their experience is with you. Not every deal is going to go perfect. Okay? It's about the relationship, the follow up and the follow through, and being consistent with your message. It's not always going to be perfect. Real estate is not perfect. Every real estate transaction has a different engine block, right? Your engine block does not work the same engine block as others. Very, very important to make sure you understand that. Louis, good morning and welcome. Brief overview who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning. What is your real estate brand?
Nice talk, Joe. Always really, really good content on here. If anybody's new on here, this content is amazing, especially for somebody who's, a little more, in the beginning stages of their journey. So my name is Louis Guerrero. I own and operate my own wholesale business. It's called Pound Pound, Pennsylvania. We're looking to acquire over 1,000 off-market properties between Northwest New Jersey and Pennsylvania, Lehigh Valley, up into the Pocono areas. So essentially, that's what I do. About the topic, I believe, one thing Joe kept mentioning, I think is very important, is creating the distinction in your brand, and like, why are you different than everybody else? A lot of people could be, homogenous nowadays. Everybody's just, kind of like cookie cutter. What's going to set you apart? What's going to give you an edge? What's going to give you that competitive advantage? And I think you have to lean into it. If you know your skill, for example, for myself, if I know my skill is, finding these off-market properties at a really high clip, and having really, really good conversations with distressed homeowners, I'm going to lean into that. And I know I can create a business model around that because I was working with another, big-time wholesale company before. And, I did a lot of deals with them. Started my business about 1.5 years ago, full-time since last September. So now I'm pretty much all in. But yeah, it's a commitment, business and branding and getting your name out there. Like everybody else was saying, yeah, consistency is a huge part of it as well. But I believe, yeah, if you're able to add value to the market, I think the branding will come. It's just a matter of like what your reputation is and how you set yourself apart from everybody else. But yeah, if your model is whatever fix and flip, broker and loans, title company, that's what I heard today. But just see, okay, how could you be, the best version of that, and how could you create a distinction where everybody else pretty much in your marketplace is like, oh wow, they look at you and they're like, oh, what's that guy doing? Because they're curious and they want to figure out, hey, what is he doing that's different than everybody else? And that's just it. Being different, I think, is what will generate you in the long run a lot of business. Joe, again, really good content on here. Haven't been here in a while, so good to be back. I was taking care of a few things, so have a lot of things going on. But yeah, really good topics in here, really good discussion, and yeah, Joe, you're crushing everything. So I appreciate you hosting this podcast every weekend.
Thank you, Louis. I appreciate it. And Louis is a go-getter. He's out there connecting and making relationships. And, being a connector in real estate means being meaningful and building meaningful relationships, networking effectively, and providing value to both clients and other industry professionals. Strong connections can lead to more referrals, repeat business, and opportunities. It's not being a welcome mat. Just because you're a licensed professional doesn't mean you gotta be steamrolled by people and never get anything in return. Okay, and you can call people out on that. All right. If somebody continuously wastes your time, there's nothing wrong with saying, listen, why are we continuing this relationship where it's one-sided? Where's the return on my reciprocation of providing you value? You got to think about that sometimes. And sometimes it's okay. You got to focus on being and building genuine relationships, people that are going to not just shop you. Okay. Listening actively. This podcast has allowed me to listen actively. Okay. Personalizing interaction, following up, and expanding your network, attending local events, partnering with other professionals, utilizing social media, providing value through education. See certification in some type of course probably would be of help. If you want to talk about that, I'm more than happy to put you in touch with the school that has allowed me to put my module together. Being a problem solver, introducing clients, real clients, to the community. Being consistent and accessible, being available when it counts. Staying consistent in your communication, setting expectations, leveraging technology with CRM systems, automated communication, technology. Be active on online communities, engaging on online groups, or hosting virtual events. Providing ongoing support to clients after sales service. Do a follow-up. Have a client appreciation events. Have educational events, meetups. Authenticity builds trust. Transparency in deals. The referral and loyalty program. Listen, if somebody's giving you business, you give it back. Celebrate milestones and be a resource beyond real estate. To become a better connector in real estate, focus on building long-lasting relationships based on trust, genuine care, and mutual respect. But don't be a welcome mat. Remember that. Offering value through education, expanding your networking, staying consistent, you can create an authentic brand that attracts loyal clients and foster strong connections. Timothy, good morning and welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning. What is your real estate brand?
Morning, Joseph. Timothy Doyle up here in the Greater Lehigh Valley. Great discussion with identifying your real estate brand. Some of the things and you've hit all the important marks as you always do, Joe. You're very thorough, and so is everyone else up on the panel. And I'm happy to share the floor with everyone. A couple things that I do. First of all, if you're meeting somebody for the first time, well, for one, identify your audience. Like if you're a real estate investor, if you're a buy and hold real estate investor, your market is more residential, you don't necessarily want to go to a farming expo to pitch your business. That's just not a good use of time. So in doing so and writing it down, writing down your goal statement and where you're at will help laser focus you on those areas you want to be involved in. And then as you get better and better at identifying your audience, also have your 30-second elevator pitch ready. Understand it, have it practice in front of your friends, so you know what's going, you get the kind of feedback that you're looking for. Sometimes practice in front of other people and just ask for their opinions. These are some things that have helped me with my business. I don't necessarily do this full time. I do this kind of on a part-time basis. I do have another FT that keeps me very, very busy, especially right now. But it's helped propel me and as a business owner and get that, get it identified as to what I do. So again, I'm Timothy Doyle, buy and hold real estate investor up here in the greater Lehigh Valley area. I target residential and multifamily properties, and I will be looking into doing wholesaling and flips. Again, Timothy Doyle, Steelhill Properties. Remember, if you can't buy it, steal it. Back to you, Joseph. Thank you for having me up.
Thanks, Tim, as always. The more you engage with others and offer meaningful solutions, the more likely you're going to stand out and be looked at as a trusted advisor and an expert in your field. But I'm telling you, everybody's not. If anybody does not have ever felt this in the service area where you're feeling being used, we've all been there, right? And you got to just kind of like stand up for yourself, because if there's not going to be an end result in your bottom line in your business, you got to cut the cord or call it out. I think that's so important, because there's so many people that think everybody else works for free for them, but there's just no reciprocation. And it's a very frustrating point of building your brand, because you want to make everybody fulfilled with, being part of their team of experts. But if you're not being leveraged in the right way, I think that's where some people feel like they get burnt out. Like, why am I doing this? Like, you gotta always be reviewing what you're doing, right? I have meetings with my social media teams every week to know where the impact is, where the results are coming. I'm looking at my KPIs on follow-up and follow-through with qualified people, okay, and making proper introductions for the right people that are going to reciprocate back. It's all about the reciprocation. I have a lot of relationships, and there's some people that, I have not gotten maybe any referral from, but they make my clients feel good about what they're doing. And that's sometimes more important than anything else. And maybe the reciprocation is not necessary, because they're a necessary expert in my circle of influence. So your brand is everything, being a connector. I mean, I'm getting people texting me, hey, about things that are non-real estate related. And that's okay too. If I could help them, and if it's an emotional support for them, that might go far away in time. But have I done business with them in the past? Is always the question I have with people. So I think there is definitely a loyalty issue in branding yourself and marketing yourself in today's market. And you just got to be careful how you align yourself with certain people. You got to vet everybody nowadays. You got to be very cautious and doing a little more research before you jump in with someone. And I think that's important as well. So, as you're building out your social media brand, making yourself present, always think about who you're aligning with your brand, right? And what you're putting out there for content as well. Like, what is the content that you are focusing on to attract like-minded karma-like people? I'm a big fan of karma. What you put out here is what you bring back. So we're going to get some final thoughts from the Rose Amongst the Thorns yet again. Miss Amy, your final thoughts to what is your real estate brand?
Hey, this has been such a really good discussion. I would say, messaging is important. Consistency in cadence, right? So consistency in your messaging, but also consistency in your cadence, right? So how often you are posting your messages. So, and when you determine kind of what your strategies are around branding and marketing, you know, Joe, a lot of people, I guess it was not even 5 years ago, folks were talking about, pick one platform and stick with it. And I think that's an old adage, for 5 years ago. But you have to be out there on every platform, everywhere, so people can find you. Now, you can use that same messaging and just repurpose it. And a lot of people do that. And if you're constantly producing content, you have a gold mine of the ability to do branding and marketing. And so, and a lot of people will produce content and not take advantage of it. So not only do you need a customer management system, you need a content management system as well, because then you can really use those to really up your game in branding and marketing too. So that would be the other half a nickel.
I got a full dime out of you today. I got a full nickel and then maybe a dime out of it. We'll take what we can get. I appreciate that, Amy. What I extend to everybody here, complimentary, and please keep this in consideration. My question to all of you: why haven't we done an interview podcast about who you are, what you do, and what your why is? Right? We have all the capabilities of interviewing you, and you're 30 minutes away from a very solid branding podcast. Put a subject matter that's close to heart, put 8 to 10 questions together, brief bio, who you are, and a professional picture. And then we're putting together a podcast together, right? Let's get you out there in front of people. That's building your brand, aligning with people that are trying to market not just for yourself, but for others. And we do extend that here through the Creative Birth Strategies podcast. We also offer CE courses nationwide now. So we provide CE courses in 6 different subjects related to real estate investing, real estate investors for agents. So we're a big fan of that. We run events on behalf of lead deal makers in North Jersey, South Jersey, Philadelphia, Lehigh Valley, soon to be Connecticut. We're doing the podcast here every Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I want to thank our sponsors as always. I left one out. I want to thank Lenmar Capital, where I am a senior loan analyst. I would like to thank Mr. Gerald Perkins of Perkatech. I'd like to thank MB Capital Solutions, your unsecured business line of credit program, where I'm a referral partner. I'd like to thank TCS Property Management, where my licenses are held in New Jersey and PA with property management services throughout the country. I'd like to thank Ms. Linda Pelagas of Really 411, a national publication, who provides also national events throughout the country. And I'd like to thank Elite Dealmakers with Jim Ingersoll, this new alliance that we're having in educational events I'm very excited about. And my quote today is: limitations live only in our minds. But if we use our imaginations, our possibilities become limitless. Everybody have a blessed week. Great Sunday. Take care of yourself. Be well. And we'll be back here on the streets of Clubhouse and back next Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I want to thank everybody for their engagement, their inquiry, and the moderators, of course, this week as well. I'll be ending the room in the next 30 seconds. And thank you.
Business of Real Estate will follow this in about 30 seconds after the room closing.